Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumu, and it's great to be on Channels Book Club. What a year 2022 has been. We're racing towards the end now, and so exciting. Well, you know, Google is your friend, like they always say. So I've been researching online. You can get practically anything on the internet, practically anything. Now, this is a World Economic Forum website. So this is as authentic as it comes, really. So I'm looking at the most linguistically diverse countries in the world. And don't forget, Nigeria has over 250 ethnic groups. That is incredible. Just think about that for a minute. Over 250 ethnic groups, most of which can stand alone as nations. I mean, Singapore is just about 4-5 million people. And when you have the BBOs, and you have the Efiks, and you have the Yorubas, and you have the Igbos, and the Hausas and the Fulanis, who go into multiple millions of people, then they are more or less nations. So Nigeria is a nation of nations. We need to start thinking that way. Now, apart from the ethnic groups, linguistically, Nigeria has over 500 languages. Now, so when you look at the list of countries in the world, the most linguistically diverse countries in the world, Nigeria is ranked, guess what? Number 3. So, out of all the countries in the world, Nigeria is the 3rd most linguistically diverse country, behind Papua New Guinea and Indonesia, ahead of countries, gigantic countries like India and China and the United States. So while we have over 500, about 517 languages, China has just about 309 languages, and the United States has over 328 languages, and so on and so forth. So Nigeria is a fantastic country. It's just great and diverse, and with all the ethnic groups and all the languages. And you'll notice on this show that we've been very particular about looking at the histories of our ethnic groups. And some writers in Nigeria have done a fantastic job, you know, writing and documenting the histories of their various people. And remember, we featured this, Zulu people of Northwest Nigeria. Remember that, by Bawa Amos. That was fantastic. There's one we've not yet featured, but very soon we will. Ibibio Nation, History and Culture by Otto Obong Uwa. This is another one. So a number of these books are being written now. There are books on the Yorubas and the Igbos. We've got one here today titled A Tale of Two Neighbors, a socio-political history of the Ukwa and Ngwa nations. I'm sure if you are not from that part of the country, you probably have never heard of the Ukwas and the Ngwa people. Well, we've got a special guest, one of the authors of this book, Mark Onyekachi, who joins us to discuss this book. Fantastic work these 4 authors have done, these young authors have done. They came together, researched, and then wrote about these very important people groups in Nigeria. So Mark joined us to discuss about the Ukwa and Ngwa nations, as documented in their book titled A Tale of Two Neighbors. Enjoy this.
Mark Onyekachi is a chartered civil engineer, property development professional, and author. Onyekachi, who is currently a PhD student at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, is an alumnus of the University of Port Harcourt in Rivers State, Metropolitan School of Business and Management in the United Kingdom, Tony Elumelu Foundation, Daystar Leadership Academy, Word of Faith Bible Institute, and Enterprise Development Center. Onyekachi is the co-author of A Tale of Two Neighbors. The other authors of the book are Ben Igwe, a creative writer, poet, and an alumnus of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and a master's student at the University of People, California, USA. Ugochi Akwada, a researcher, an alumnus of Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, Abia State, and a member of the Chemical Society of Nigeria. Ugochukwu Okoye, an alumnus of the University of Nigeria, Commonwealth Scholarship, University of Edinburgh, UK, and a doctorate student of Carleton University, Canada. Onyekachi joins Channels Book Club to discuss A Tale of Two Neighbours.
Mark, nice to have you on Channels Book Club. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for having me here today. For me, it's a dream come true. I've always wanted to be on Channels TV. How it was going to happen, I don't know, but I've always been an advocate of putting in the work and believing that dreams come true. Thank you for having me here.
We are very honored to have you. It's an honor to have you. Thank you. Such a nice thing to say. Okay, I mean, you're a young man and you've dug into this project, this history project. I've always thought that, and I still do think that history is vital for nation building.
Sure.
You know, and, you know, we forget that Nigeria is a nation of nations. We say Singapore is a country, is a nation, 5 million people. Yet we'll say the Ibibios or the Igbos, you know, they don't form a nation. So it's a bit, we call ourselves tribes, you know. So it's interesting. The book we have here is A Tale of Two Neighbours, a socio-political history of the Ukwa and Ngwa nations. Did I pronounce those well?
Yeah, you did well, yeah.
Okay, well done. So tell us about this and what inspired it. 4 of you came together to write this.
Yeah.
What's the story?
All right. For me, I have a background in civil engineering. So,
civil engineering.
Yeah, so people are quite surprised that I had to delve into history. And my co-authors, we are all been friends for years. I've been a friend to one of them from secondary school. The other 2 were friends from university, and we share a lot in common.
Which of the 2 here?
All right. Akwada Ugochukwu has been my friend since 2003 from secondary school.
Okay.
Ben Igwe and Ugochukwu Okoye were all friends from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I had my first degree. Okay. So the moment we finished, I went for NYC, and I started thinking on how I could contribute.
So you're all in your 30s or 20s?
Yeah, in our 30s, yeah.
You're all in your 30s?
Yeah, early 30s.
So these are 4 young men. Fantastic. This is inspiring.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so please go ahead with that story.
Yeah, so while I was serving, I started up a business in Port Harcourt, a clothing business, and I had to approach different brands for them to patronize what I was doing. And my first client was Kilimanjaro, and I started making shirts for them. That didn't fly. I got frustrated at a point because things were not just working as planned. I had to relocate from Port Harcourt to Aba in Abia State. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, I became a personal assistant to a local government chairman. And after 3 months, the local government chairman was dissolved. And other political appointees started running around to, get other appointments. And I began to ask myself, for how long am I going to do this? It dawned on me that I could contribute to the society through storytelling. As a growing up child, I wasn't really proud of being an Ongwa person because there was this stereotype that Ongwas, we eat human meat. So I grew up in Lagos, and after the death of my dad, I found myself in Abia State, where I had to start my secondary school. While I was there, I was not proud telling people that I come from Ongwa. So most times when you ask me, I tell you that I come from another place, another local government in Abia. So in Abia, we have what we call the Old Benden and the Aba division. So the Aba division is where you have majorly the Ongwa people that make up 7 local government areas, and the Okwa people that make up 2 local government areas, Okwa East and Okwa West, where today Abia State is referred to an oil-producing area because of the oil wells that are situated in the Okwa region, most especially Okwa West. Right. So after secondary school, I went to university and I kept hiding my identity till my final year when I met with, I had an encounter with Emeritus Professor Benson Oligbe, the author of Intensive English, and Professor Mika Otabragu, who happens to also be a professor of English, all from University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And they are Ongwas. And I met them and I told them that I wasn't really proud of being an Ongwa person. And they asked me a whole lot of questions and I gave them answers and feedback. And they ended up giving me a book written by an Ongwa person titled Aba and British Rule. After reading that book, I had a mind shift. I had a whole lot of things changed about me, and I began to appreciate who the Ungwa people are. That gave birth to me contributing to the society by bringing up together like minds to document a verifiable story about the Ungwa people and the Okwa people. Who are these Okwa people? They are our neighbors. But over years, we've been able to do things together with them, and we see them today as our brothers. In as much as people feel that this relationship is politically, but I also know that the life we live and everything we do revolves around politics. Today, we see them not just as neighbors, but as brothers. And that is why we have a title, A Tale of Two Neighbors. Thank you.
You don't know, Mark, what you just said now, you don't know how much it has inspired me.
Thank you so much.
I mean, because this is what Nigeria needs. You know, stories like this and people like you.
Thank you so much.
It's what Nigeria needs, because this is an important work you've done. But I'll come back to, let's get a few things. So you are Ngwa.
Yes.
Now, your book is about the history of the Ngwas.
Yeah.
And
the Okwas.
Okwas.
Yeah.
Okay, so educate me. Okwa and Ngwa,
we're neighbors.
Neighbors. I read that from your book, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you said that the Ukwas formed 2 local governments in Abia State.
Yeah.
And the
Ngwas formed 7 local government areas in Abia State.
7 local governments in.
Yeah.
Okay, now you are Ngwa, you are Mark.
Yeah.
How about the other 3 authors of this book? Who else is from Ngwa?
Okay, Akwada Ugochukwu is from Ngwa.
Ugochukwu Akwada is from.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Bernard and Ugochukwu?
All right, so
Okoye.
Okay, so I get this question most times. Why is it you don't have an Okwa person on the platform? I'm driven by vision. And why doing that, I always try to assemble people that share the same vision with me towards a particular result. So why starting up this project? We're a team of 7, comprising of individuals from the different local government areas that make up the Okwa and the Ngwa nations. So we had 2 persons from the Okwa that came on board, and we had 5 other persons from the Ngwa extraction. But you know how vision is. As we keep moving, and mind you, this is not really a profitable venture. So the moment funds were not coming in, people had to move on to do different things. They wanted to do things. And you can't hold a man and tell him, you must believe in my vision. So at a point, you know, persons left, and I had to go on recruiting more people to come into
So you basically drove the vision.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, now, oh, Nigeria is so blessed.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, Nigeria is so blessed. Yet we don't know.
That's
Yet
right.
we've made a mess of it. You know, because, I mean, these are nations that back in time, I mean, I'm reading your story, the Ungwas and the Ukwas, these were nations. These were a people group with their own culture, their own traditions, their own
origin,
religions,
their beliefs,
their own belief system and everything. And they stood alone individually, you know. And today, here we are. I mean, it's a long story. We're all together and all that. So before we dig in, I'm going to ask you a question.
Please do.
Before we dig into specifics you wrote in your book.
Okay.
When you look at Nigeria, considering this context, considering what you got to understand after researching and writing this book, when you look at Nigeria in terms of our diversity and all that, do you believe in a one Nigeria?
Yeah, sure, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. And my reason is obvious. You can see what's happening in Nigeria with the agitation for a better Nigeria. These campaigns are ongoing where people are coming out voluntarily to contribute, to make donations to this cause. I watched what happened in Port Harcourt. Over 2 million Nigerians came out to say, okay, we want a change in Nigeria. We want a better Nigeria. These persons were not sponsored by anybody. Nobody gave them shishi, nobody gave them any more. They just came together and said, let's have a march to show Nigerians that, see, this Nigeria we talk about is feasible.
It's possible.
It's possible. It's achievable.
And that's your belief?
That's my belief. The one Nigeria is possible. Is there because people travel out and they bring their investment to Nigeria. So why don't they invest over there? If over there is as safe or safer than Nigeria, they still come back to Nigeria and put in their money there. So I just believe we just need to change things right and get things right. Yeah.
Your book is interesting.
Thank you.
Start to finish. But which chapters or chapter would you recommend that, okay, I don't want to read everything. You say, oh, you absolutely have to read this.
Okay. Firstly,
I know for politicians, I know that Abba and politics.
Yeah, it's quite engaging.
You know, I know it's quite. I know that part, the part 4, where you spoke about Abba and politics and all that. Yeah, but let me leave you to answer that question.
Okay. History is very important. History is all about telling the story of a people. It also involves the transfer of information from one generation to another. History is vital because it ensures survival and sustainability of a group of people. Now, today in schools, most schools in Nigeria don't study history anymore. When I was in secondary school, I did history. It was compulsory. But most schools today is quite selective and all that. And our people continue to lose this very vital information. If I was informed as a growing child, truly my identity, I won't shy away from it. As a growing child in school, my class teacher, for me not to mention her name, referred me as a cannibal.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't go well with me. I went home, and the interesting thing is my both parents are Ongwas. I went home and they told me nothing like that existed. But as a child, there was no proper education to change that narrative. That's the absence of history. Right? Now, every chapter of this book is engaging. It was written in such a way that you want to read through. It had to follow a sequence, a narrative sequence. So from A to B to C to that and all that. And a selling point of this book, of this effort, is two things. One, the interviews, they were in-depth. And most people that are from Abia State know the names in this book, right? They are top class. You can't talk about the Ongwa people and the Ongwa people without mentioning the persons here. The traditional ruler referred to is Imperial Majesty Eze Bernard Enremadu, very popular. A few months after we interviewed him, he died.
Oh.
He is referred to a custodian of the Ongwa tradition. You'll see his name in the first chapter of this book. So just imagine if we didn't interview him, he would have died with that knowledge. Yeah. The children would never tell the story as better as the late Enremadu. So you see why this book is peculiar? I would also went further to fill a gap. Because one thing about research, one thing about putting in this work is what gap are you filling, right? There is no book as of today that has been able to talk about the agitation and the requests for a state referred to Abba. This is the first book that gives you a very in-depth information about the agitation, the grounds, the requests, how far they have gone for the demand of a state. Because most of the founding leaders are alive. So we had to meet them, interview them, go to library, go to archives to get this information. So back to your question, striking parts of this book are first, the origin. You need to know about a people before you want to read any other part of the book. So when you look at the origin of the Ongwa people, that of the Ndoke, and that of the Asa people, then you move over to know about the agitation for the demand for Abba states. Thank you.
Well, Mark, thank you very much. It's been a delight speaking with you.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations on this work. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
We look forward to you doing more. Do more of this. Don't stop here.
Yeah. Our dream is to have this book premiered. And I'm saying this openly that we're trying to reach out to top movie producers, the likes of Kunle, Mo Abudu, Kemi Adetiba, to
explore this.
Yes, to work with us to bring this to reality.
To the big screen.
Yeah, we want to see this on Netflix. I think that's our biggest goal.
It deserves to be.
Yeah,
it should be.
That's what we're working on now.
Maybe you can build a story around the three brothers.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks
for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure that I'm here, and I've really enjoyed my time. And one more thing before I leave, dreams come true. I say this over and over again. Growing up as a child, I always told myself that someday I'm going to be on the media talking about a thing I never knew what it's going to be about. And today, I'm here on Channels TV talking about the book. To every young person out there that believes in what he or she is doing, just keep putting in the work. It took about 5 years to produce this book. And we're just dogged. We wanted to make an impact. And we believe someday the world is going to hear our voice, because I believe that the future is our voice.
Well done. Inspiring. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure and an honor having you here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.